Can you hear me, Mr. Byrne? Good, good. Well, we'll wait a few minutes here for a couple more people to show up. Still a couple minutes to the top of the hour. I have a separate computer in front of me so I can monitor the questions and see what the end user sees. And all it's showing me is the countdown timer. So that plan didn't work very well. I am, thank you. I'm going to do part of this via video and part of it live because I'm not 100% that. I feel really bad going without a voice right in the middle. Let's see. Yeah, which one is working for you guys? Is it Chrome that's working or is it Firefox that's working? Mr. Byrne is using Chrome. That seems to be the consensus. Use Chrome. And I'm beginning to wonder if that's the problem I have over here. I was trying to monitor it with Firefox. This must be a really bad time for most people because we get a small audience at this time, and then I get tons of cries for the replay. Sorry about that, Mr. Byrne. It's only 1 a.m. where I am. Okay, so we're 1 minute after. I'll give them 1 more minute to show up. Welcome, Frank. Yeah, I had my water standing by, and I really tried to avoid yelling at anybody all day long. It got worse. I was getting better. It got worse, and now I feel like I'm on the mend again. And I didn't want to delay this anymore. There's too much good stuff. And I know a lot of folks bought Browsio, and they have no idea how to make Browsio and Buddy Enterprise work together. And a lot of you already have Buddy Personalizer, and many of you are not using it. And we put some new stuff in Buddy Enterprise Ultimate Edition to make it easier. And I'm going to show you that stuff, and then I'm going to show you how we go in and fill in accounts that didn't get created. This is going to be some good stuff. I'm also going to show you another tool that I use that makes things easier when I have to step in and fix things manually. You may want to write this one down because I don't know if it's wrote anywhere. I'll put it in the. I got in trouble last time I did this, by the way. It's called Phrase Express, and I'd actually made a video of its use one time, and some guy looked at the video for Phrase Express and said, "This is too complicated," and he refunded. It is merely a way for making up when the holes are there. And today, I found that there were a lot of holes. I have, I think, 12 accounts in for maintenance right at the moment, and I'm discovering other things that I want to do. But with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. As I was telling the people who were here early, we're going to do this in part by video, small clips, and then Q&A, and then I'm going to do a live demonstration when it comes down to the Buddy Personalizer, and there's a live demonstration that I'm going to do with Browsio. So let's see what we have here. Somewhere here I have a silly folder called Presentation. Outstanding. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is the new Buddy Enterprise exports.
Okay, what I want to do here is I want to show you a couple of exports. These are new to Buddy Enterprise 5.7 in the current format, and I'll explain it to you. So I have loaded a profile here, all right? And go to Utilities. And here's my two exports. Export file for Personalizer. So I'm going to click this, and it just does it. It's quick. And here's my export file for Browsio. I click this, and it just does it. Now, let's take a look at these two files, and I'll show you what's inside them. Let's see. Here's the exports for Personalizer, and it's only one of these that's going to matter. This is I've been playing around quite a bit. So the one we're looking for is this one here. You see that it's named by the email, and it's got a time and date stamp on it. So if you're running in full auto mode over here, it's going to automatically create this every time. So instead of overriding something that says export for Personalizer, which is what it used to do, you will get a separate one for each time. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this file up. And what I'm going to show you here is that there are only 26 records. Now, these may or may not apply to your particular set, but it has each of the things that Buddy Personalizer has the ability to impact. Some of these are not created by Buddy Enterprise. As an example, Gravatar, some of the Google properties, etc. Okay? But if you go and you create these properties using the same information that's here, then you could handle all 26 of these. It used to be 27 properties. I did not put app.net into the export because app.net is going away very quickly. All right, so there we are with the personalizer files. Now, let's go take a look at the Browsio files. This is the export for Browsio. Let me use Notepad++ for that. It's just easier to see. Okay, now this shows a whole lot of stuff, including those accounts that we don't create. It shows every account that's in our system. And the reason we do this is it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. And if you have this file, you can bring it into Browsio and use it to help you very quickly create missing accounts. And we'll cover that in another section.
Okay. The one thing that I did not say in this video that I should have is that when you run in full auto mode, it not only creates all of those files you need for, it creates a file for Buddy Personalizer for each set of accounts, but it also creates a file for Browsio for each set of accounts. It's just going to happen automatically and put them in the appropriate directories. Mr. Byrne, this records no matter whether I want to or not. It's one advantage over GoToWebinars is it doesn't depend on an idiot like me going and forgetting to hit the record button. Okay, so does anybody have any questions at all about how that export works for either of those? If you understand, put a 1 in, please. Okay, somebody understands. All right, let me go ahead and move on to the next piece of this. I'm going to show you the Browsio import on video, and we're also going to do it live. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you about 60 seconds here. For those people, I'm going to stall here. For those people that don't have a pen and paper handy, because you may want to take a couple of notes. This wasn't the most straightforward thing in the world. Everybody ready? Okay, here we go.
Okay, in the last section, I showed you how to export a Browsio file from Buddy Enterprise. The connection to Browsio is not entirely clear in terms of how it's used, so I'm going to do a little demonstration. We go to Import from DE type file, and I'm going to select the file first. And I'll come down and I'll grab the one that we just created. And then for the email, this is the email that belongs to that profile. And how you do your project name is really kind of up to you, but let's try this. For those of you doing things that are eventually going to be assigned to a specific niche, this may work well for you. Okay, so it says it was successfully imported. So now what I can do is I double clicked on this set, and I'm in a particular browser. I'm going to come down to here, click on this, and then I'm going to go to the end. And let's see here. On this plus key, you can open that up, and I'm going to click Import Bookmarks. It asks me the type of file once again. I say OK. And it wants me to go back and point to this file again. All right. Here it is. It says they've been imported, and here they are. Okay. Now what you have to do, and this is just the way it is, I've spoken to Simon about this, and we may do just for Buddy Enterprise owners. This is not a definite yet, but we may do a macro that does this for you. But watch, you come down and you choose one of these, like say Bitly. And this goes and opens up Bitly, and let's go to we'll choose the login. And then over here, you got the picture of the little man that says, fill the form with the profile data. And this is how you add that in. And at that point, you should be ready to, this is transferring data. I'm not sure what this is doing. But with this here, you should be able to sign it. And there you go. Okay. So Bitly has now been added to the system, and I would need to go through and do it for each of the properties going down. But that's how it's done. And I will have this in a recording so that you can go back and watch it a couple of different times, because it could be a little confusing. You're actually bringing in that file twice. Okay? On to the next thing.
Okay, now what I didn't notice until just now is that while I was creating that, I was suffering from rectal cranium insertion. Did anybody notice what I happened to do? Initially, I grabbed the personalizer file, and that's why I ended up grabbing that file twice. And I didn't know why I had to grab that file twice, and now I get it. Okay, so let's go through and do this ourselves. Here's Buddy Enterprise, and I have this this profile loaded here. Everybody knows how to load a profile, right? You click Save Load Profile, you put the email in from the profile folder, you click Load Profile, and it puts all this nifty data in here, just in case you didn't know. I'm going to go over here to Utilities. Come on, Utilities. And I'm going to say Export for Browsio. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to the exports for Browsio, and I actually have one set up here called Today's Demo Browsio. Make sure I grab the right file. All right, so let's go to Browsio, and I'm going to say Import BE type file. Let me go back and grab that email from that. I'm going to need it. Silly me. Let's see. Here's that email. Close this up. No, I don't want to download it. Thank you very little. Okay. I like to use the emails as the project name. All right. Then I have to put the email in here. Now when I go to select a file, I'm going to go grab that one that says today's demo, and that is the data that's in this one. And now I click import. And you'll see the difference, okay? This has come up and said success. Now, here's what I just imported. I go and I click this tab under Firefox. You could do this in Chrome. I'm doing it in Firefox. And I go over here and I hit this plus key. And all of this is already here because now I have chosen the right file and didn't screw it up, okay? Now, let's say that an account didn't create, and we're going to take a look at Bitly here. And I'll give it the benefit of the doubt to start with. I'll click login, and I'll hit this little man up here. Come down and click sign in. And it says, nope, try again. That tells me that Bitly failed, all right? As annoying as it is, that's just the reality, all right? So it says, don't have an account, sign up now. So I click the sign up button, and all of this information fills in. It isn't always 100% right, but it's pretty close, all right? So now all I have to do is solve the CAPTCHA. It says select all the squares with street signs, so that would be this one, and this one. The check is there. Create the account, and that Bitly account is now created. Okay? What I do with that is I'll turn around and I'll use that that email on a second tab. I'm doing it just to get the domain in there. :2095. Now, let me see if this will fill this in. Nope. I have to put in the full email address, and here we go. And let's get the password for that. And I'm going to show you a better way to do this. I like Horde because it's straightforward, and if I go to the very bottom of all my emails, I find my Bitly. So here's my Bitly support. I come down, I click on the link, and Bitly is ready to go. The account's been verified. Okay, so that's how you use Browsio with Buddy Enterprise. There is one other thing I left out, and that is in the import, there's something that isn't happening, and I will talk to Simon about it, but if you look at view profile data, the IP address did not go in, the IP address and port. So you should put those in, and here's why you should put those in. Because if you have to go through and create a bunch of accounts, and let's say that you're finding Bitly is consistently failing, this is what happened to me. When you go to do the second Bitly, it's going to choke on you. It's going to give you a hard time because it says this guy's just creating a lot of accounts. All right. So if we put the IP address in here, then it will use that IP when it goes to do it. Now, I'm going to show you another little trick I do, and this is with Phrase Express. I have Phrase Express set up. It's basically macros for my keyboard. And I start them on F3, F4, F5, and F6. I'll show you exactly what I do. And my workers do the same thing because it is just a time saver. Get that back up there. You right-click this, click Edit, and now you'll be able to go through and edit all of them. So with this information here, I'm going to grab my email, Control C, and I'm going to replace it right here, Control V. And I'm going to go to my username, Control C, Control V. Then I'm going to go to the full name. Let's see, this is Raymond Sharp. So what I do here, and finally password. And so that you can see this, I'm going to move this up. Each of these, this is where I've designated. This is my password is Control F5. And I always use F3, F4, F5, and F6 so that I've memorized which ones I'm on, right? Okay. So I can just close this. And now if I had to do that again for another one that didn't come out right, the way I wanted it to come out, then I could turn around and use my keyboard in case it didn't fill it out right. I'm going to go down here to Digo. This may be another problem one right now. Just double click Digo. And it goes to load up. Now notice I can't see the sign in here, right? Feel free to come over here and hit this, because to get it back to where you want it, all you have to do to show those again is hit that plus key, right? Let's make things easy on yourself. You can scroll over, sign in. It's a little man. Okay, this one was not a problem. It went right in. Now, if there's a little box that says, you know, stay signed in, definitely check that box, because what it's doing is it's creating those cookies, and that's what you want. Because when this is in Browsio, you can turn around and move it to anywhere and still have those cookies. All right. So normally, Nick, I set the proxy, and I use the proxy as I'm going through and I'm doing that stuff. Can you do Instapaper? It has failed on my end. Okay, let's go do Instapaper. Let's see. So I need my list back. Here's Instapaper. I'll click sign in. Hit the little man. Okay, so it says this one does not exist. It was not created. All right. So I'm going to hit create account. I'm going to hit this little man again. All right, now, this is a perfect example. This is supposed to be email. And I'm very impressed with this technology, but it didn't identify this properly, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe that out, and I'm going to hit Control F5. I'm sorry, Control F3. Why am I going after the password? Control F3, and I'll go ahead and Control F5 on the password. Why is this behaving this way? For some reason, that's jumping on me. I'm going to go back out and come back in. I can't see your question just at the moment, only that you're asking it. So I have signed in. I'm going to go to just create account. Control F3. Control F5. Wow, it's immediately jumping. It wasn't doing that to me earlier. What happens if I solve my CAPTCHA first? One way to skin a cat. See if this works. I did this earlier today. Okay. Email is already taken. All right, so this looks like it's blowing up because the account was created. Let's look at the emails and see if it's there. Yeah, Instapaper was already created. Why it failed, I don't know. Interesting. I don't know if I'm going to have to do a password reset on it or what, but I don't necessarily want to do it on the webinar. Okay. No, because I use Control F5 all the time, Kendrick. There is CAPTCHA, and I solved that CAPTCHA, Mr. Burnham. It's looking for email, not username. Yeah, it put username in there automatically. Browsio did that. It does it. I got to tell you, it does a damn good job. I wish I was as good at Browsio was at guessing which field was which, because I'd have a whole lot less maintenance. But they've got a proprietary algorithm on that, and I don't think that it would work out of UBot. But let's see. Yeah, the first time I used a username, that's correct. Thanks for the live demo. Okay. Yeah. So, by the way, I have a list that I'm going to share with you and some resources. Let me go ahead and get some of that out there. This talks about the setup of Buddy Personalizer, and it's actually where people get taken to after purchase. I'm going to put that link in for you now. I'm sure people ask for it again. And from an account standpoint, I was making a list today, and this is what I learned going through the accounts individually myself, not relying on any of my workers. Okay. AOL is PVA. Daily Motion, when I went to create a Daily Motion, it kept telling me the passwords didn't match when they did. Delicious reCAPTCHA exceeds this value of 1,000, so you can't create it manually, period. Drupal Gardens is now out of business. We'll be dropping that. Facebook is PVA. Fold requires an activation code that you got to pull out of email. Linkagogo, I think I'm going to drop that, and here's why. It has a short trial, and then it's paid. You get to use it for like a week, and then it's gone. Why am I paying to maintain that, right? Instagram, I made a note to myself to try again. The account Medium, there's about a 5-minute delay on the email. Photo Bucket, we generate the wrong password characters. We have some special characters that you can't use with Photo Bucket. I need to go in and change that. Rebel Mouse, another wasted one, right? You can get a short trial, but then it's big bucks to use it. Reddit, it looks like the username was unavailable. Somebody had already used the same username. Set waiting for confirmation. Slashdot required me to do a password change. When you get a notification in your email to do that they've changed your password, what I do is I go use their password to sign in, and then I change it back to what I need it to be. Tribe had server issues. Twitter, while I was waiting on the email, and I go back in because I never got the email, and it came back and hit me with PVA telling me that it looked automated, even though I was in Browsio and I created it. Typepad, I'm going to drop it. It's another paid service. Weebly, I don't believe it can be created by Browsio simply because you cannot scroll far enough down on the page. And that's a sales link. Okay. Somebody says, is this over already? You must not be hearing us. Are there any questions at this point besides, is it over? Give me some ones if you understood what I've explained to you so far. Okay. Give me some twos if I've demystified some of the Browsio stuff. I should do one. I should do a webinar just because it isn't done very well. I should do a webinar on the outsourcing module because it is so neat, and I'll explain how I'm going to be using it going forward. In fact, we're doing it now. Some of you may have noticed I put an advertisement up to sell accounts, right? But you really need to go through and make sure that every account has been created if you're selling them as complete sets. And you can have caveats, you know, Twitter's a PVA, and you can say we're not going to handle PVA, and we obviously can't do something if it's down like Tribe is. However, I am now automatically putting every account set into Browsio. And what I can do is I can take that Browsio and create an outsourcer license and pass those accounts with the Browsio to the person with the outsourcer license. Okay. Now the question is, how long can I ethically leave it out there? I discussed this with Simon, and 30 days seems to be a fair amount, unless somebody's going to turn around and buy additional sets after that. And then I can take additional sets and assign them to that same license, do an update, and they will automatically flow into their Browsio installation. It is actually very cool, but it's the best way to make sure that everything is delivered. Unfortunately, I will tell you that right now, my people are taking about 3 hours to go through all of those accounts in Browsio. I expect them to get faster. Right now, they're taking about 3 hours. So if you were to go into the SendWire Buddy Facebook group, you will see that I deleted the post on the $5 sets. That's why. Can't do them for $5. Okay. Yeah, so I will show you. Would somebody like me to show you how to set up an outsourcer on Browsio now? If you want to see that, put a 5 in, just so I know what I'm looking at. If you want to see me show you how to set up an outsourcer, oh, look at that. I think we have a few confused Browsio users out there. I don't blame you. Let me tell you what, it was tricky for me to get through it the first time. So here is what you do. You start off over here, and you come down to your Browsio Task Force. And it's gonna open up this little box here where you got to sign in. So my login's already here. I'm gonna go ahead and log in. The next thing you need to do is go to users and add somebody, right? So I'm going to add, let's say I'm going to add Bob. I'm going to make Bob's password Bob Works. Okay? Doesn't have a managing role, so I'm going to click Update. Okay. So Bob is now one of my outsourced workers. He's been created. I can go up here and close this. I'm going to go back to my Browsio. And I come to this, and it says, create a license file. Now, this is neat, because this is where you can determine what a license can do, right? And if somebody is only dealing with accounts, well, my people have to be able to create projects, because every one of these emails is a project, right? So they've got to be able to create projects. I may have to let them create licenses so that they can fulfill people's orders. Otherwise, I have to turn around and move the accounts into those particular whatever, all right? And allow project proxy changes and viewing. Okay, so you do all that, and then you come down here, and you choose Bob, and you say create. And it's going to ask you for a place where you want to put this license, right? So what I do is I create these folders for my users. And so I'll say, make a new folder. I'll call it Bob. And then click OK. Now what I do is I take that folder, which happens to be sitting on my desktop, I zip it up, and I send it to Bob, and I have Browsio, and it's always the same file, right? It's the same file I use when I open this up, and you have to give them that code, you know, that Kings of SEO to open the file. And then you go to the licensing, and rather than fill in the username and password to log in, you just say select license file. He goes, he's already unzipped that, he points to that license file, and he's ready to go. Did I say that too fast? Have I made it too confusing? Yeah, it is simple, but I've never seen a simple explanation of it. But it does. It just works, you know. There's a feature in Browsio for the sync. When he says sync, it's going to go to my account on the central server, and it's going to put it into my account. Alrighty. Okay. So something tells me we may be ready to take a look at Buddy Personalize. Let me take a sip of water here and relax just a moment. Alrighty. Buddy Personalizer. We talked before about how we come up with the file for Buddy Personalizer. I actually go into that file and I take out properties that I'm not personalizing, so I don't have it go and fail to log in to Google, right? And I actually would not even normally run it on this computer because this computer is Windows 10 and it pops that extra Firefox window that drives me crazy. So I run my stuff on a VPS. But the last time I tried to demonstrate something to you guys on a VPS through Webinar Geo, it was a complete cluster, whatever. It didn't work. All right. So this is amazingly simple, and this is Buddy Personalizer Pro. We have a standard and we have a Pro. If you've already bought it, you have the Pro version. The standard does not have the choose enter linking file. Okay? All right, so format type Buddy Enterprise, it's the only type we have. This enter new password, if you wanted to change the password on those 26 properties, you put a new password in here and it will go do that for you. All right? Here is where we choose the data file, and I went to the personalizer and chose today's demo personalizer.txt, just like we did with the other one for Browsio. Okay, browser settings. This is the same exact thing you see in Buddy Enterprise. You don't have to touch it. CAPTCHA settings. If there's something that requires CAPTCHA, you'd want to put your thing in here. I left my API key out on purpose, right? And over here in the bio about me, I don't spin this. You could, all right? My understanding is you can, but I don't spin it. I take the actual name and I take into consideration the age of the person. The age, you know, how old the person is in their profile. And I put a little bit of information in there. And this all came out of my Buddy Enterprise screen, right? So there's Jolie Knowles. She lives in Muscadine. She works in warehousing. And little invitation there. If we went to school together, feel free to reach out. I was born in '93. Okay? Now, there is something that I did not realize till recently that's kind of cool, and I'm going to talk about this interlinking file here in just a moment. This is the manual itself, and this is all that's in here. There's a link title and there's a link address. And it occurred to me when we originally did this, the idea was that you could, as an example, have all of the links for all of your stuff going to your Google Plus, right? But this is going to go on everything that gets personalized. So you could not only be doing the Web 2.0s here, you could be doing other websites, you could be doing other tiers, all right? There's a whole level of power here that I hadn't even really considered. Okay, let's go back to Personalizer. And it really is just that simple. There is one more thing I want to show you. Let me get to go down here, the Buddy Personalizer folder where I had this installed. Here is a folder for images. This is created, this folder is created, and inside it's male and female, right? Okay, and inside I have a number of picks. Now, it will randomly pick one of these to post. Since you're only, right now, we only personalize one set of accounts at a time, my druthers would be to only have one picture in here that fit the age of that person, okay? To make the whole profile more believable. You can do it like this if you want to, but just from a more accurate level, you know, pick somebody who matches the age of what you're doing. So after you've done all that, you just click the button and it goes and it does its thing. But like I said, I'm on Windows 10. It's going to pop Firefox twice and just annoy me. And it's going to do this on every profile that it goes to. You have to look in the manual to see what the changes are in each of these. You know that if you change the password that it's going to change here. I don't quite frankly know why you would want to go change the password, because it would only be those 26 accounts and not all of them that belong to that set. And no, we're not going to sit here and watch it pop these empty windows all night. Also, for this to work well, right, it's a good idea to go into Browsio first so that you know everything is logging in properly. That there isn't an account that you believe is working and it actually isn't. What are you asking me for? I don't even know. Don't tell me you're asking me to point you to the images. That's an automatic. I'll have to go look this up and see what's supposed to be changing so I know what it's asking for. All right, let me close this. And stop does just that. Now, wasn't that complicated, folks? Did I set the? No, I did not set the IP in Personalizer. It's in that file. Personalizer isn't using the IP address. We're not creating the account. We're simply accessing it. Should we use the IP? Maybe. Okay, Mr. Burns says, wouldn't it be better to have a number of different pics of the same person, less of a footprint? I don't know if it's how much less of a footprint it is. I mean, they are actually all the same. They actually are all the same person, right? So I don't think that that's a problem. I think it probably looks better. The challenge is having a bunch of different pictures of the same person. I don't know about you folks, but coming up with pictures isn't really easy, and I've done it a few different ways, right? So I'll just show you a little example here. Let me get over into Buddy Personalizer. As an example, this image here was one of, I think I got like 10 different images of each person in the Philippines, right? And they gave me like, 10 different people, and I was paying for it. But I wasn't real happy with what they sent me. And this stuff was stuff I pulled out of some stock photos from some package I had bought. But yeah, she was. That's why the numbering's the the labels are different because she was one of them out of that Philippine package, Philippine set I had asked somebody to put together. So is the IP part of the VE export file for VP? Let's go have a look. Actually, we had a big discussion about this. Yes, it is. It may be using that. I'll have to double check. I remember we were blowing up because it expected it to be there, and we have to have that, but we have to have some other data there. Somebody says no IP, so perhaps he is already going in and using the IP on every one of these. Thank you for asking. Good idea, Mr. Byrne. Kendrick, are you going in with Snagit and just grabbing it out of the video? Yeah, that would do it. That would do it. Okay. Are there any questions over anything we went over? Now, let me ask this. If you do not own Personalizer and you want to get Personalizer, put a 6 in. Well, I'd love the sales. My life will be easier with no sales. Okay. What I'm going to do is I have a link here to a sales page and I have a coupon. And what I'm doing is I'm letting you get the Pro at the standard rate. Those of you who bought early, as usual, it paid off. The Pro is selling for $197. The standard is selling for $147. I've only got buy buttons up for the Pro, and I have a $50 off coupon. Here's something else I forgot. There is now, I only see 1.6 there, but there is now, for all of the purchases going forward, a $7 a month maintenance, and it's on a subscription part of your purchase. You can cancel that $7 at any time, but then your software will stop updating, and it doesn't matter whether it's Pro or standard. There's the buy link. Here's the coupon. Got to do something for you for being here. Okay. So you've got your resources page that we put out earlier. I'm going to go ahead and put that link out again because, like I said, I like Contabo. I love Contabo. They're just the best deal going on a VPS, and they've been incredibly reliable for me. And I made some videos to show you how I set them up. But it works out to a 4-core server with 12 VPS, with 12 gigs of RAM, 300 gigabytes of SSD, is $15 a month with Windows Server 2012 installed, and no setup fee. And it's on that resources page. And that's what I use for everything except stuff like LSA, that I go to a 10-core machine. But I'm using, and I use a 10-core for my web hosting. But for all of my Buddy Enterprise work, I'm using those 4 cores. And my Buddy Personalizer, I'm using 4 cores. And for my outsource workers, I give them the 4-core machines. It's the best $15 I can spend. I called them up the other day because they had initially turned down my affiliate application, and I says, I've got quite a few of your servers. He says, yeah, I looked at your record. You've got 13 of them. I didn't realize I had 13. Anything else? Any more questions? Well, we're exactly at an hour. No, for Money Robot, I get my my VPSs from Money Robot, and what I actually have is I have two dedicated servers, and each one has been divided into 12 VPSs. My principal advantage in doing it that way is that they keep it updated. I don't have to worry, and if there's a problem, I call them and they take care of it. And I spend 110 for each of those, so $220 a month. Okay, it is on the export file. The IP address is on the export file for Browsio. I'll show you. See, here's the IPs. Okay. The problem is, and it's not Browsio's fault entirely. When we first gave them a file, the original file we gave them did not have the IP address. Now, months ago, we gave them a new file that had the IP addresses in it. And, I apologized profusely and says, we need to get this changed so that the import includes picking up the IP, but it doesn't. So I'm going to have to talk to Simon about that. I buy the one fourth from the right, and if you buy it, I have an affiliate link on that resource page I sent you. I would appreciate it. It tells you there that it's the fourth one from the left. It's the one that's got 300 gigabyte all SSD. Any other questions? Well, folks, thanks for showing up. Going once. Going twice. 3 times. Have a wonderful evening. Be well. Bye-bye. You are all most welcome.